On my left, a volcanic pit bull, uncontrollable coach, tight t-shirt and tattooed arms. On my right, an inhabited strategist, a visionary tactician, a bit obsessive and compulsive, Argentina in the blood and football in the veins. Opposite temperaments, but the same obsession with the game. Jorge Sampaoli and Marcelo Bielsa are linked by a common vision of football. In the course of their turbulent careers, a mystical and intense relationship has developed that continues to raise questions as Sampaoli prepares to return to Europe, in a city that is still lulled by the nostalgic memory of the master Bielsa. From the South American pitches to the European benches, between the conception of the game and the philosophy of life, in what way is Sampa a little more than a disciple of Professor Bielsa? Rosario, early 90s. Marcelo Bielsa took charge of the Newell's Old Boys Club. His clear-cut ideas about passion and pleasure in football seduced the Rojinegros management. In the club's ranks, an ambitious and hard-working player, Jorge Sampaoli broke his tibia and fibula and ended all his chances of becoming a professional. Failure and torment for one, the beginning of glory for the other. Bielsa led the club from the lepers of Rosario to the league title 2 seasons running under the watchful eyes of a recovering Sampaoli. He listened to the master and began to train as a coach. The Bielsa school did not yet exist, but he was already an assiduous student. With a Walkman on his ears, Sampa does his training sessions with Bielsa's analysis in his ear, an admiration that the sporting results and the game developed by Bielsa's players only reinforce. The two men are linked first and foremost by the constant irony of destiny and the cross-pollination that they have always cultivated. If no one is a prophet in his own country, Bielsa was a prophet in Rosario before he became one in Chile. Well, look at that. The Chilean national team is the first feat of arms that they share. They have contributed to the rise of a national team and its golden generation. Bielsa, the builder. Sampaoli, the broadcaster. From 2007 to 2011, El Loco undertook a revolution in the national team. He introduced a 3-4-3 tactical scheme based on systematic adaptation to the opponent's attacking style. To achieve this, great flexibility in midfield is necessary. The main precept of the Rosario native is the sliding of a midfielder into his central axis in the offensive phase, the famous 3-3-1-3. Bielsa relies on a trident in the middle, capable of breaking down according to the phases. Each player would then insert himself in a different line and create imbalance or cover as required. Two players become key in the fluidity of the projections. A relay player in front of the defense, the Bielsa Cinco, and a creative and more offensive playmaker. At the 2010 World Cup, Chile shattered the footballing world with a real identity on the pitch. The grinta in players sucked in by the ball, invested in a constant aggressive pressing. Bielsa launched a revolution in Chile's game, which he left adrift when he re-signed in early 2011 in a tense extra-sporting context. A year and a half later, the disciple Jorge got the national team back after a fantastic year at Universidad de Chile and brought out the Bielsist ideas abandoned by his replacement Borghi. He installed Marcelo Diaz in the position of Bielsa's Cinco, a creative and mobile midfielder in a 3-4-3 and a diamond midfield that was conducive to attacking projections. The student follows in the footsteps of the master. Sampaoli, like Bielsa, is striving to base his game on perpetual ball control, high and aggressive pressing when the ball is lost, a desired recovery in less than 7 seconds, and a short circuit on the ground when it is regained. The fullbacks also play an essential role in creating an offensive imbalance that saves the day. The goalkeeper must be skillful with his feet to become the first relay player. These two Chiles are based on the same foundations, the same common language. If there is affiliation between Sampa and El Loco, it is because they speak the same footballing language of Argentina and its schools of the game. The level piano salida, the Menotistas' offensive circuits, borrowings, similar tactical interpretations of speeches used elsewhere. The student gave meaning to the master's work by offering Chile the first Copa America in its history in 2015 on home soil. After an exhilarating and spectacular 2014 World Cup, Chile, solid and driven by a mission, made it to the final of their competition. No one will be able to stop them. The two men also share a rigor and an outrageous, visceral passion for football. This expression of football that associates them with each other is certainly more about elaboration than expression. They place video analysis of opponents at the center of their tactical approach. Capable of imposing endless video sessions on his players, Sampaoli even wanted to patent tactical simulation software for the Chilean national team, based on the databases of the FIFA and PES video games, a way for him to allow his players to perfect their mastery of the schemes even on the sofa. Bielsa and his legendary collection of 7,000 VHS tapes will have to be careful. Sampaoli Sampaoli is a workaholic who expects no less from his players. In fact, they are prepared to go to any extremes to stay one step ahead of their opponents. In 2014, during the World Cup in Brazil, Sampaoli sent one of his henchmen to spy on his opponents in the group stage, particularly Spain. He was wearing a cap and a Spain shirt and was able to watch the training sessions of the other teams with the anonymity of a self-respecting spy, taking notes for Sampaoli, a method that paid off as Spain was defeated by the conquering Chile. Well, Bielsa was also noticed for the same tactics. When in Leeds, one of his assistants attended Derby County training. Maybe not teacher and disciple, but at least as whimsical as each other. Adaptation. This is a word that Bielsa places at the center of his speeches. Before each match, his 11 changes to counter the opponent's scheme, a notion that imposes on the player a crucial versatility to satisfy the teacher Marcelo. As a good student, Sampaoli also approaches matches through the prism of his opponent, but takes the approach much further. It is the obsessive side that will cost him his ousting from the Argentine national team after a disappointing 2018 World Cup. He has a lot of systems in his head to be ready for any eventuality, a more outrageous flexibility that El Loco himself and the Albiceleste players will not be able to digest. Too many systems to print for too little balance and results. It was a failure reminiscent of his masters 16 years earlier at the 2002 World Cup, with an incomprehensible elimination of the Albiceleste in the first round. It was a case of fate tying the two together once again. Both men have a strong vision of football, but they both feel the need to pass on their knowledge to the young players they wish to train, or to their colleagues. This is perhaps where the two men diverge the most. When Bielsa does not hesitate to give coaching lessons in press conferences and to participate in symposiums on his great tactical principles, Sampaoli is known to be more cautious and suspicious. His principles have to stay warm. His silence contrasts with the volcanic temperament seen on the pitch. On many occasions, he has not hesitated to forbid the use of recording devices for journalists at press conferences. A bit of a loco, Sampa? Argentina, Chile, Spain, and now France. So many countries that have seen the master and his disciples successively express themselves. In their own way, they seem to share a romantic and passionate vision of football. Two attitudes out of sync to transmit the same dream, that of a football that unleashes the crowds by the show on the field, which prefers a valiant defeat to a frightening victory. It should be noted that even if Sampa showed the desire to do so, it would be difficult for him to fully emancipate himself from Uncle Bielsa. Thank you for watching our video. Don't hesitate to tell us in the comments if you think that Sampaoli's adventure in Marseille will be as enjoyable as Marcelo Bielsa's. If you liked it, you can also talk about our channel around you. Like it, share it. See you soon for a new video. Ciao!